My name is Nkosizwe Mandela, a citizen of the Republic of South Africa. I am participating in a non-violent mission on the global Sumud flotilla, taking humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. If you are receiving this video, it means I have already been intercepted and abducted by the Israeli forces. I call on you as the citizens of South Africa to call on our government for my immediate release.
Hello everyone. Hi, hello everybody. This is a different analysis, which is a matter of urgency, because as you guys saw earlier, I posted the updates from the predictions I had made on the 28th of September about the second and the third being a critical period when it comes to leaders. And what I had not mentioned, I had seen actually that it would be people from the south would also be involved, but in that part I didn't mention. But in any case, a whole lot of stuff has happened, so much chaos, so much scary times, because we are seeing the history repeat itself right now when it comes to the Mandela family. And I don't have Mandela's or wife's time, so I don't have her birth time, right, Rabi, and but I will be focusing on his chart and his Venus to show why these things are happening. And of course I am at this point looking at his transits as well, because that's quite critical for this moment. He has been abducted by the Israeli forces, and he has he has this video that is going out, which obviously was planned for the release if and when they would be abducted, kidnapped by the Israeli forces. And of course, from the astrological point of view, we're always curious of why things are happening. And I am dealing with synastry here, relationships, all types of relationships. So I will be looking at how his wife is being impacted by his kidnapping at this time. And of course, when we are talking about the spouse, the wife, we are talking about Venus. And looking at Venus, it can also represent women, not just your wife. It can also represent any spouse in terms of gender, the relationship itself, the union, marriage, the whole seventh house. That's what Venus is all about. This is astrology, by the way. If you see the title and you happen to fall on to this channel, it is all about astrology. Now, looking at his Venus, he's got a Venus conjunct with Ketu in Taurus, and it is actually the same like his grandfather Nelson Mandela, because Nelson Mandela Utata also has his Ketu and Venus conjunct. And remember, I made that mini documentary focusing on his life and his life with Winnie. And you could recall, or you would recall, that he actually had 3 wives, because when it comes to Ketu, everything must be done 3 times in order for it to be finally successful. And same thing with Mandela. Chief Mandela also has the Ketu with Venus, and this is his 3rd wife, right? And they have been going on for some time now, since 2016. So the third time is a charm. That's what is said in cultures, in different cultures. And so Ketu also says the same thing. Now his Venus is also not only conjunct with Ketu and opposite Rahu by default, but there's also an opposition to Neptune there, which also shows quite a lot of distance that is usually placed suddenly, because that Neptune, it is in Scorpio. And of course, when it comes to Scorpio, this is a political family, so there's a lot of intelligence things and scenarios that play in terms of their family, because Taurus is family, Scorpio is those certain things and hidden things, secrets, ups and downs, heritage, inheritance, because also this is what you inherit. And for him, it is obviously the life of being a politician, inherited from his grandfather, Dada Nelson Mandela. So we are going to go right in the synastry, in the analysis here, and looking at his whole chart. People might wonder why he had to choose to replicate his father's journey, and it is showing in his chart that actually he is called to be a leader, but his leadership style is quite different from that of Dada Nelson Mandela. He's actually a leader that is dependent on other people. So this is what is showing of his character from his chart. I don't have his birth time, but as you guys know, that does not stop us from identifying what needs to be identified in astrology. So now, as a leader, he needs to have people tell him what to do, or he needs to have people in front of him that he can run his ideas with. He is not the type of a leader that can go alone and that can succeed alone. Actually, he needs a team. He always needs a team around him. So that's his leadership style. But however, he is brilliant, and he's got an inside strength that some people may not necessarily see. He's born to be a messenger. That as well is quite highlighted in his chart, because remember, as you can see, he's got all of that stellium in Gemini. Gemini is about communication. He is born to be a messenger. This is why he is now the mouthpiece, of this protest, or peaceful protest, trying to get to Gaza, trying to get resources into Gaza, and because of that they have obviously been abducted. And as a messenger, he has released these messages that you just seen now. So this was his this is part of his journey when it comes to the astrology and his natal chart. He is about justice, and he is about being diplomatic as well. However, he could also be bound to wave or move along with the current, flow with the current, go where the wind goes. And that is showing in his chart. He has a lot of responsibilities, not only by his name, but obviously by everything that he stands for. For his country, because his Mars, it is in Cancer, and Mars in Cancer is going to want to destroy. Is going to want to defend the land, defend the resources, defend the home ground, defend your country. That is what Mars, debilitated Mars in Cancer, is all about. Defend the motherland, defend your culture, or everything that you believe in is just going to go out and defend that part. Because remember, Mars is a defender. Even if it is debilitated in Cancer, it will still defend the home, because Cancer is about home, homeland, the motherland. And values of family, and he has actually been the basically the face of the Mandela a family in terms of upholding that name and doing the traditions and showing the Xhosa traditions and culture to the world. He has been very forward into living up to that Mars in Cancer here. So this is showing in his chart very, very clearly. He's all about the community. He's all about, handling things, just handling things. And but I do see obviously that when you have a lot of responsibility, you may be prone to fatigue and worry and mental stress, which is a normal reaction really when you have quite a lot on your shoulders. Now, looking at the transit, so we must remember that Jupiter is still transiting in Gemini, and it is actually with all of that cluster there with his moon, Mercury, Saturn and Sun. But then you would wonder, why is he not being protected in his journey? Why the Jupiter that everyone preaches is a benefic, will do good for you, will do positive things for you, will protect you? I am going to assume here that he's actually either a Mercurial ascendant or a Venusian ascendant, because this is where Jupiter is not necessarily strong into defending and protecting you when you have these ascendants. So that's what I'm going with here. And there is obviously the Venus and Ketu transiting the Leo, which I talked about in my previous videos, and I talked about how I was seeing the leader being grieving for the family, for their spouse, and unfortunately it had to happen because the stars, they show everything that will be happening in our world. Now, on this day today, there is moon transiting Capricorn, and it is conjunct with Pluto and Lilith in his natal chart. But most importantly, opposite that Mars of his in Cancer, about protecting family, protecting people, protecting the home, protecting other people. Mars is like that in Cancer. And the moon, even though it is facing its own sign, looking at its own sign, however, it is being stressed out, like I said in my previous video, being literally blocked by the energies of Capricorn here, plus with the Pluto and his natal Lilith. So this is why we are having all of this energy happening. On top of this, we are having Mars, Sun and Mercury in Virgo today, which is a stellium in Virgo, or conjunct with his own Pluto. So we are seeing quite a lot of Pluto action here in his chart today that is affecting this decision that has had him being kidnapped by the Israeli forces as we speak. So we must remember that Chiron is also going retrograde in Aries, and it is unfortunately retrograding towards his natal Chiron. So this is why we see Chiron. Remember, it is all about pain, wounding, and obviously being kidnapped. That is your whole body being affected right by the action. So we are seeing that as well happening. So there's a lot of stuff, because we must also remember there is a Uranus that is transiting the Taurus sign, which is involved right now or conjunct with his natal Venus and Ketu. Just sudden changes concerning the distancing from the wife, from the family, because it's in Taurus. family life just being turned upside down abruptly, suddenly, without any big warning. And when you talk about Uranus, we are talking about abrupt changes and changes that just throw your plan off. So now the next step that I am interested to look at is obviously his progression. Now let's get into that. But just before we go into the progression, I just wanted to send out a message from an astrological point of view and an astrological point of vision or opinion, towards his wife. And, at this time, it would be, obviously, she should be stressed, she would be stressed. And from an astrological point of view, I would advise that at this time she must have faith. She must keep her faith. And but what's most importantly is what she can also do, and this involves sacrificing something. Some people would say maybe fast when you pray, but there is an astrological solution, or therefore I would say an opinion, because we can't give solutions like that, an opinion of what she should do. So for this part, I just want to change and speak in closer directly to her. She's married into a closer family, and so for this part and for the reverence of the situation and the respect of the family, I must speak from the roots, from the cultural point of view. Sisi into endibonayo ne from icala lam kukubana uba uyakwazi uchebe kancinci inwele zakho, akunyanzelekanga uba uzichebe zonke. And abanye abantu bebezocheba zonke, but from icala le-astrology, I would say uvese uchebe kancinci, maybe udreame bengathi uyadreama kancinci, and then ezo nwele ke ngoku uzisusileyo uzigcine and uzigcine as a symbol yoba nethemba, yoba umyeni wakho utata uMandla, ubhuti Mandla actually, Mandela, uzokwazi ukuphinda abuyele kuwe. So iseso sinikezelo ubona senza kwi activity yakhe or towards le journey ayihambayo, umncede ngaloo nto. And obviously uhlale emthandazweni, and obviously uhlale unethemba, but as a symbol yobonakalisa uba unethemba ubuzobuya, utrime ezo nwele zakho kancinci uzigcine until abuye. There is obviously an explanation of what I'm talking about, which is a deeper explanation from an astrological point of view, but obviously this is something that I would give consultations, but just for that, keep in faith and keep praying, right? Now looking at the progressions, I can see clearly here what's happening. Actually, his progressing Venus is actually with that Mars here, and Mars and Venus, they do not give good results. And this is what I always preach to my astrology community, to stop fantasizing about Venus and Mars, because they have different energies, and in certain signs they can be extremely dangerous. And cutting and just removing that comfort is being shown here. However, his progressing Mars is conjunct with his progressing Saturn, which is another problem here, and another big issue here. And not only the progressing Mars and progressing Saturn are together, there are also opposite progressing gay 2, obviously by default, which gives quite a big stellium, a big opposition of big and negative planets or malefic planets, like challenging planets, really not negative but challenging planets. So it's a big energy, and we must remember I started by talking about the Pluto energies that are playing in his chart. And what you see here, these are planets that are also including other people, because when you talk about Pluto, this is an external force, change, transformation that is required for other people, for bigger people, and it is in Virgo. What is Virgo about? What is Virgo about? Israel. Virgo is about Israel. This is the ascendant of Israel. His Pluto is directly conjunct the ascendant of Israel, whereby he's trying to bring or trying to influence transformation with his journey, and now him being kidnapped. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the spousal impact that I wanted to analyze in terms of what has happened and him being kidnapped, how it would influence the relationship. And I thank you. I'll see you soon. At the end of the show.